All right, let's talk testosterone. In the next few minutes, we are going to cut right through all the noise and give you a super clear, actionable plan to really understand and, optimize this crucial hormone. So let me ask you something. Are you feeling tired? Maybe losing your edge a bit, at the gym or even at work? It's a super common feeling for a lot of guys, and I bet you've heard the buzz that testosterone levels are, well, on the decline. And you know what? The data, it really does suggest that a downward trend is happening. But hold on. Before you even think about some quick fix, we've got to dig a little deeper. The real solution, the one that actually works, is all about understanding the root causes, not just slapping a band-aid on the symptoms with a pill. Okay, so let's map this whole thing out. Over the next few minutes, we're going to give you the complete roadmap. We're talking everything from getting tested to the powerful lifestyle changes you can make today. And then finally, we'll take a really clear look at the medical options. Let's dive right in. First up, the T factor. Let's just quickly cover why this one hormone is so incredibly foundational for a man's health. Okay, so you hear testosterone and you probably think muscles, right? And yeah, it's the primary anabolic hormone. That's just a fancy way of saying it's the main building hormone in men. But it's so much more than that. Think of it as the bedrock of male vitality. I mean, it's crucial for everything from your bone health and brain function to your mood and just your overall energy levels. All right, that brings us to section 2. You gotta know your numbers. Look, the first step is getting tested, but let's be real, the results can be kind of confusing, so let's decode them together. So, on your lab report, you're gonna see 2 key numbers, total and free. Here's the best way to think about it. Total testosterone, that's like all the money you have in your bank account. But your free testosterone, that's the cash you've got in your wallet, ready to spend. That's the stuff that's biologically active, the stuff that really matters for how you feel day to day. And check this out, this is kind of wild. In a healthy guy, only about 2 to 3% of all your testosterone is free and available for use. Just 2 to 3%. This tiny little amount is doing all the heavy lifting. So the big question becomes, what's tying up the other 98%? Well, this is the main culprit right here, SHBG. It stands for sex hormone binding globulin. The absolute easiest way to think of it is as hormone handcuffs. See, this protein literally binds to your testosterone, making it totally inactive. So the more SHBG you have floating around, the less free T is actually available to do its job. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, especially with age. After you hit 30, your total T starts to drop by about 1% per year. But, and this is the key part, your SHBG, those handcuffs, actually rise as you get older. This means your free testosterone, the stuff that matters, can decline by up to 2% per year. It's a total double whammy. So, okay, what can you actually do about all this? Well, that brings us to the natural toolkit. And part 1 is all about the lifestyle levers you can pull. And honestly, these are the single most powerful tools you have in your arsenal. The number 1 single biggest lifestyle factor you can control is your body fat percentage. Why? It's because of something called the aromatase effect. The more body fat you carry, the more your body churns out this enzyme called aromatase. And what does that enzyme do? It takes your precious testosterone and it converts it into estrogen. And this is where the problem really snowballs. Derek from More Plates, More Dates explains it perfectly. All that excess estrogen sends a false signal back up to your brain, basically telling it, hey, we're good down here, no need to make more. And what does your brain do? It shuts down your natural testosterone production. It's a nasty, vicious cycle. So here's the bottom line for this whole section. Your foundation is absolutely non-negotiable. We're talking about getting your body fat down, cutting back on alcohol, making sleep a priority, and getting a handle on your stress. You have to get these fundamentals right before you even dream of moving on to anything else. Okay, so once that lifestyle is locked in and you're consistent, then we can move on to part 2 of the toolkit, smart supplement strategies. These can give you an extra, evidence-based boost. You always want to start with the foundational 3, zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D. So many people are deficient in these, and you'd be surprised. Simply correcting a deficiency is the ultimate low-hanging fruit. For some people, this alone can lead to a really meaningful increase. Now, if you want a more targeted approach, you can look at things like boron and Tongkat Ali. These can directly go after that SHBG we talked about, the handcuffs, and help free up more of your active testosterone. Ashwagandha, well, it works a bit differently. It helps by tamping down the stress hormone cortisol, which is a notorious testosterone killer. But a real word of caution here. These are targeted tools. They're not a free-for-all, so you really need to pay close attention to the specifics like dosage and potential side effects. Okay. So after you've totally dialed in your lifestyle and you've maybe considered some smart supplements, there is one final piece of the puzzle to talk about, the medical option. So let's demystify TRT, or testosterone replacement therapy. So who is TRT really for? Let's be crystal clear. This is a serious medical decision. It is for men who have a clinical diagnosis of hypogonadism and who are still having symptoms after they have already completely optimized all those lifestyle factors we just went through. I'll say it again, it is not a shortcut. And listen, how it's administered matters a ton. The more frequent applications like daily creams or micro-injections are more physiologic, meaning they mimic your body's natural rhythm. On the other hand, those big, infrequent weekly injections, they can create a total hormonal roller coaster. We're talking massive peaks followed by deep troughs, which can really jack up the risk of side effects. This is an absolutely critical conversation to have with your doctor, to find a protocol that creates stability, not chaos. And you have to go into this with your eyes wide open, because there are real risks to consider. TRT will shut down your body's natural production, and that leads to infertility. It can thicken your blood, which increases your risk of a stroke, and it can make things like sleep apnea worse. All of these things have to be carefully monitored with your doctor. Now, there is one bit of good news here. That old, long-held fear about TRT causing prostate cancer, it seems to be pretty overblown. Modern research, based on something called the androgen saturation model, suggests that for guys without a pre-existing condition, the risk just isn't what we once thought it was. So that's a positive. And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial point of all. Before you even begin to think about a prescription, you have to ask yourself one simple question. Have you truly, honestly mastered the fundamentals? Because taking control of your lifestyle, your diet, your sleep, your stress, that isn't just the first step, it is without a doubt the most powerful tool you have. And that is your roadmap to taking back control.